This is the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries, and we're talking about Marvel Studios' Hawkeye Season 1 wrap-up.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, sure.
What do you think of Lady Hawk?
Oh, yeah, that's terrible.
Hawk Eve?
No, it's worse.
Damn, okay. Hawk Shot. Like hot shot, but you know, Hawk.
No,
Lady Arrow?
none of those.
Okay, fine.
Welcome back, fellow Defenders. Yes, this is TV Podcast Industries, and this is the Defenders podcast. We're looking at the Season 1 wrap-up of Marvel Studios' Hawkeye. I am one of your hosts, John.
I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
And rounding out this bullseye-hitting trio, I am Chris.
Yes, welcome back, fellow Defenders, indeed. Yes, we were supposed to be looking at the Marvel Studios Assembled look at the making of Hawkeye.
Yeah.
We thought it was out today.
It was.
And we waited. It went 8:05, then 8:10, then 8:15. So we watched Boba Fett, and then at 12 o'clock it was like still not there. So we decided that, look, we have to wrap up Hawkeye Season 1, especially with regards to the pub quiz for all those Defenders and quizzers who had written in with their answers, but also because we got a huge amount of Episode 6 feedback, which we weren't able to read out in time on our last discussion. So we've been holding out for this Marvel Assembled making of Hawkeye, and of course, unfortunately, it didn't materialize. It got lost in the Enterprise's sort of transporter, basically.
I was going to say it got lost in the multiverse. Would have been slightly more on brand.
It would have, actually. I just think I didn't think about that.
I think you're a bit excited because we heard today that that Star Trek Picard Season 2 is coming out in March, on March 2nd, which is the first time we've heard an actual release date, other than it's coming in February, which was the last release date we had. So February turns into March 2nd, as these things do these days.
There's been loads of release dates. And certainly I think March is going to be pretty hectic with everything coming out then. Of course, there was the big teaser trailer for Marvel's Moon Knight. So that was really cool. And of course, lots of chit-chat over on Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast, of course, with our friends over there. So great stuff. Yeah. Really enjoyed that.
Loads. Yeah, if you're excited for Moon Knight at all, get yourself over and subscribe to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast, hosted by Ray and by Rebecca. They've done a great job for about 4 years now, breaking down everything from individual comic issues to cosplay that people have done, to fan movies, to everything. And I think they did 3 episodes this week, 2 of which made it to air, unfortunately, about the teaser trailer and the trailer that have come out for Moon Knight. It's going to be an exciting time for any Moon Knight fans. And if you're not a Moon Knight fan yet, read some of the issues. You're going to enjoy this character, and I think we're all pretty excited to be covering that when it comes out from the 31st of March.
Yes, can't wait to cover that.
Yeah. And then we also have Diabolical in March as well. The animated Amazon Studio led The Boys spin-off, which is done by, each episode is a different writer of well-known ilk, be it apparently everyone from Seth Rogen to you name it, Kripke himself, are all included and writing in these kind of other animated stories in the Boys universe. The trailer that dropped was a short clip from a baby's day out, almost, in the Boys universe, where a baby with laser eyes is popping heads. It's as gory as ever, and it's great.
It's very interesting. I'm not sure how long the episodes are going to be. It could be 2 minutes, could be 30 minutes. So, we don't know how we're going to be covering it on the podcast, or if we're going to be covering it on the podcast. That was a very quick clip, and you're totally right, Chris. It was one of those ones where it came up as I was scrolling through Twitter, and I just saw this beautifully animated short, which looked like something from the old Warner Brothers stuff. Really, really reminded me of the Animaniacs type style of animation. And I was going, I'll pause and have a look at this. And then head started to explode. And I was going, I hope not many kids look at this, because it does look exactly as brutal as you'd expect.
It is going to be shocking, irreverent, and everything in between, I guess. Certainly given that we saw Billy Butcher's dog Terra licking his old Christmas puddings there as well. Yes. So, yes, no leftovers for Terra.
Yeah, I think that's the actual poster for the show.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Hilarious. And of course, we do still have to mention The Witcher as well. Yeah. So we will be looking at The Witcher as well. Slightly delayed, as we're all catching up with ourselves. Well, at least myself and Derek are. I guess by March, I can't use that as an excuse. But nonetheless, yes, we will be getting into The Witcher as well towards the end of January for season 2, our season 2 coverage of The Witcher.
Yes, that is our next podcast coming up, is The Witcher. Last one then to mention, because we did do our big view forward of what's coming up in 2022 with absolutely zero dates, I think, for what's coming up. The one show that we did have a date for was Lord of the Rings, or the Middle-earth show that's coming to Amazon Prime. We knew it was coming on the 2nd of September and mentioned that, but it now has a name. They did a big name announcement, and they even did a behind-the-scenes making of how they made the name announcement, because it was all physically done. They poured a ring in gold and showed how it was made. Very cool. But it is called The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. So, first time that's been announced. First time we've had confirmation really from Amazon Prime. This is going to be called a Lord of the Rings show and not Middle-earth show. So they obviously threw quite a bit of money at that to get that title.
I'd love to know, in the making of the announcement of the name for the show, I'd love to see the catering element on that. It'd be great.
The catering budget. I'm sure it was massive.
I guess it would be, lots of coffee and so on.
Yeah, I will do a quick shout out before we move on to our final wrap up for Hawkeye season 1 and your feedback, and more importantly, our pub quiz. Just a quick shout out that myself and John, for anyone who's read, we finished our Wheel of Time season 1 coverage, but anyone who's read the books, specifically books 1 and 2, potentially even just books 1, 2 and 3, or all of the books, we jumped on over to the Busting Blockbuster podcast with Matt Murdock.
Yes.
And myself and John, and it is very spoilerific in that it is for book readers. What they did or didn't include, what we enjoyed about season 1, and again, what they did or did not include about the book from the books. Strongly suggest jumping on over and giving it a check out, just because myself and John were there, but also because it was a great podcast and these are great guys, especially Matt, who is a fellow Defender and is probably listening to this right now.
Certainly is. Fellow Defenders, you may recall, Matt, he does the really, really fantastic, very, very interesting musical feedback that we get in terms of around the different Marvel themes that come up on the TV and how they link to those thematic tunes that we've grown to love from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So you will definitely recognize his voice, and it was an absolutely fantastic chat. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, they were covering all of Wheel of Time over on Blockbuster's podcast throughout the same period. So I was able to listen to most of those because Matt keeps the spoilers to the book spoiler coverage, and then got really disappointed because I wasn't able to be on the podcast with you guys.
Oh, we got spoilerific. Again, big warners, flashing light. This is spoilerific, especially for the books as well. Like, we got... Now, to be fair, I managed to get one non-spoiler spoiling topic around John to discuss it without spoiling John. That's how spoilery we got. I managed to do mental and linguistic gymnastics to myself and Matt could have a conversation about something without spoiling John.
Impressive.
And I was quite proud.
Impressive.
That was quite good. I do remember that. But you also did spoil one or two things. But that's fine. That's fine. I don't mind. I really, really don't mind. But let us get on with our Hawkeye wrap-up. And let's start with winning ways for our pub quiz. So let us head on over to the old bar, grab a pint as we run through the questions that we set you following each and every episode of Season 1's Hawkeye. And then we will, of course, go to our electronic tombola that is Google to pull a number. Again, the pub quiz isn't the pub quiz without all the entrants, so a big thank you to everyone who chucked over their answers to the questions each week. It was really good. Great response from our fellow defenders and fellow quizzers. So here we go with episode 1, Never Meet Your Heroes. The question: what 3 things do Clint Barton's children want to do for Christmas? It was to make a gingerbread house, a Christmas movie marathon, and to wear ugly Christmas jumpers.
And I think we saw all of those throughout the season,
Yes,
didn't we?
we certainly did.
For episode 2, Hide and Seek, the question was, what is the number on the New York Fire Department helmet that Clint is wearing? The answer was 54. Yes, the age of Clint Barton. No, not the age of Clint Barton. He's not 54. He just feels like it after each fight.
I like it. From episode 3, Echoes, the question is, what is the name of the auto repair business where Maya witnesses Ronan killing her father? That's Fat Man Auto Repair. We know by the end of the series that was a reference to Kingpin. As the owner of that business and the boss of her father. So, a nice little touch there.
Yeah, great stuff. Episode 4, Partners, am I right? The question, 2 parts for 2 points. Indeed, a 2-parter here. What is written on the side of the mug that Clint Barton is drinking from? And secondly, what nickname does Kate give Clint Barton? The answer to that on the mug was Thanos was right, controversial, and the nickname was CB1.
Terrible nickname, and we were joking, and we couldn't even talk about it because this was the question. We were joking how surprising it was that all of the trailers that included the mug in them, that included Clint Barton drinking out of the mug, had actually taken Thanos was right out of that to save the joke for the episode. Quite funny.
Next up on episode 5, which was called Ronan, we had the following question. Grills is cool. What 3 things does Kate say he can do? The answer was, he can cook, he can LARP, and he can put out fires. He is cool. Grills is cool.
Yes, great stuff. Just the man you need.
Exactly. Final episode on episode 6. So this is Christmas. What colour coat was Yelena wearing when she arrived at the party? Everybody recognised that because she was wearing Christmas green. She was wearing a big green coat, standing out on her arrival. Very cool.
She certainly was. So, fellow defenders, the goodies for this pub quiz are Hawkeye and Kate Bishop Funko Pops once they are released. So again, they are pre-order Funko Pops. Yep. So they will be put on order and they will be shipped once they become available. So there may be a little bit of wait, but they are the goodies for the overall winner of the pub quiz.
Absolutely. And what's even cuter is Kate Bishop comes with Lucky the Pizza Dog.
Yes.
Oh,
great.
So there were 11 possible answers out of the pub quiz. A couple of multi-part questions in there from John, throwing them into the challenge for the pub quiz. Guess what? We have 11 fellow defenders who got every single question right in the pub quiz.
Yes.
Yes.
Well done.
That's a high success rate we have here. Really good stuff.
And I also think, given the time of year that it was and stuff, everybody getting all the questions in and answering the questions was really cool. Thanks to everybody who sent your Christmas messages on your emails with all your answers. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was really, really nice.
Yeah, I even saw Dr. Bob Phillips was trying out Nullagh and trying to spell it phonetically. Irish doesn't work phonetically, unfortunately. So I could tell what you were trying to say, Dr. Bob, but I don't think the phonetics quite work when you're talking in Irish, because it's a bit of a weird language with, I think it's 24 letters in the alphabet.
It is. And it's not the same phonetics at all.
No, it's not.
No.
I can test
It
you.
shouldn't be a language at this point.
I really can testify to that. Certainly when I first moved over to this fantastic place.
I'm going to totally
You're
disagree
like,
with you,
"Balya
Chris.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm going to totally disagree with you, Chris. Of course Irish should be a language. It's our national language, just like every other country. You don't have to speak it, but it is our national language. Let's go through the 11 fellow defenders who have gotten all of the answers right. We have Suzanne Nelson, James Urin, Adam Downing, Victor Sellers,
Salim Milkisler, Claire Payne, Steve Brown, Dr. Bob Phillips,
Will Walton, Jamie Lawson, and Andrew from Edmonton.
Well done, everybody. Chris.
Yes.
Do you want to ask our Google helper in the sky for a number between 1 and 11 and see who has gotten their hands on the Hawkeye goodies?
Sure. Hey Google, randomly give me a number between 1 and 11.
Here's a random number, 11.
Great stuff. Number 11 is Andrew from Edmonton in Canada. So really good stuff, Andrew. I think first time quizzer.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So
Congratulations,
really,
Andrew.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the work that you guys do up in Edmonton, especially in video games. BioWare is there.
Well,
hopefully...
That is true, yes.
Did we spent an entire week in Edmonton myself and John? It was a fantastic day.
We have a friend who lives in Edmonton, and we're up there in the middle of winter, and by golly gosh, it was chilly.
It's very cold. I think my nose almost froze.
Certainly
off my
at
face.
night when the wind started. Yes. Dare I say it? Yes. Smuggling peanuts, is that the word, I guess?
I think that is it.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Andrew. Really, congratulations for winning that. Give us a quick shout, and obviously we'll be able to get the goodies to you as soon as they are released.
Mm-hmm. And of course, as always, a big thank you to all the participants in the pub quiz. It is really great, the support that you give this pub quiz that we have when at pretty much every show that we cover now, but certainly at least for the Marvel stuff as well. That's where it kicked off from. So a big thank you to everyone that enters, everyone sent in questions, and really, really appreciated. And finally, another big congratulations to Andrew from Edmonton for winning the goodies, the Funko Pops.
Absolutely. Next one up, I think, is going to be for Moon Knight, which comes out, as we said, on the 31st of March. What makes that really exciting is that means loads of Moon Knight Funko Pops are going to be coming.
It certainly is.
Pretty cool.
But also, it's they're in the trailer, they're in the UK, so it actually is a pub.
Yes.
It's actual pub.
Yes.
And we could say it's the bar with no name, the pub with no name quiz. There you go.
There we go.
Yes. Will we get on to some feedback, guys?
Let's do it.
Yes. First off, yes, we have some email feedback from Jimbo Earn. What a satisfying finish to an excellent series that really felt like a handing over the baton, which, by the way, my phone auto-corrected to Barton. Excellent stuff, Jimbo. That's pretty good. Even if it still leaves the door open for Clint to return in future, and what good hands things are in now. Every time Kate and Yelena were on screen together was pure joy, especially the lift scene with the buttons and Stop Making Me Like You. All I can say is these two need their own series or film together as soon as possible. The whole Rockefeller tree ice rink scene was so fun and imaginative, with trick arrows used really well. I actually rewound just to watch it over again, and I'm sure you guys picked up on the Robin Hood shot Clint does, which was almost underplayed, although at least Clint gets a nice shot from Cassie for it. I don't even have time to talk about how much fun this episode was for Jack, aka Ron Burgundy, as the other big highlight was, of course, getting so much screen time with Mr. Fisk, who felt like he had never been away. Despite what looked like a tricky ending for him, the fact he was able to walk away from a car crushing him through a wall unscathed, as well as a pretty large explosion in the shop, an off-screen gunshot from point blank sounds to me like more of a flesh wound, and I hope to see more of him in the future series. As for the post-credits, I had been expecting something, but have to say, did not see this one coming, and now won't be able to get the song out of my head until we are well into the new year. All I can say, Jimbo, is I hope it's still ringing loud and clear this far into 2022.
Yes, we can do it all day.
Jimbo continues, all I can say is bravo to Marvel and Disney for this early Christmas present. And having just watched the new Spidey, this really was a fantastic way to round out the year. And with so much more lined up for 2022, if they keep up the standard from the 4 shows we've seen this year, we are really going to enjoy the next one. And I'm looking forward to watching them with you guys. Merry Christmas to all, Jimbo. And of course, Jimbo, a Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year. And we are really excited to have all you fellow defenders joining us in 2022 for the content that's coming out from Marvel and from Disney Plus. It will be really, really good, I think. I, for one, definitely agree. Kate and Yelena need to have their own series or film together. Maybe it will be in the shape of a Hawkeye season 2 with Kate Bishop at the helm and Yelena involved in some way. And if they get a film, I really hope they don't leave it as late as they did with Black Widow's movie as well. Because I do think you're right. This coupling here of Kate and Yelena was really, really good. And Yelena from the Black Widow movie was just such a joy as well. So definitely with you on that as well.
Yeah, it feels like they haven't given us any kind of announcement that we're building up to something like the TV version of the Avengers or what Netflix did with the Defenders over on Netflix with the Marvel properties. There doesn't seem to be something that we're aiming towards with all these shows. And now we're getting so many characters being added into the universe that you just don't know when these characters are going to turn up together again. And what show or in what movie they're going to turn up together again. You know, as we said before, we saw Yelena in Black Widow, and then she turns up in Hawkeye a couple of months later. That's great. Love that those were so close together when they were eventually released. But you never know. We could be seeing those characters in Moon Knight in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, no, we still don't know. And IMDb and Google are useless when you look at the casting because everyone's in there.
Absolutely. Excellent. Thanks so much, Jimbo. Our second email comes in from Coffee and Vodka, who says, greetings, unexpectedly musical defenders. Where to start? Comic accurate Kane, but that shirt, damn. Turning the joke that was the Martha moment into something that actually resonates between Yelena and Clint. Wilson Fisk getting beaten via flicked cufflink taken from his father, whom he murdered. Brilliant. In the comics, Echo blinded Kingpin, not killed him, so I'm assuming that's what happened here. So much more to say, I'm sure, but in short, a fantastic conclusion to a great series, which I hope wasn't ruined for Derek with the Watch reveal. With both Willie and Matt now officially part of the fold, looking forward to 2023. Finally, I'm not sure if I greatly enjoyed or thoroughly hated the musical gift. Enjoyably itchy. As a score, 5 Willie lip twitches, Barton Clint Bartons, holiday Hooters, and tiny tracksuits out of 5.
Coffee and Vodka, there's so much to discuss there with those out of 5s. Willie lip twitches is by far the funniest.
It is. Coffee Vodka says, P.S. Grills didn't die. Jack is Jack and not a cover for anything, but is potentially dangerous, but dopey self. Eleanor reported by Kate, taking down one of the most expensive trees in New York. If I didn't have dogs to walk, I could go on forever. Still though, even after a binge watch, Hawkeye season 1 might make my top 5, but Daredevil and Jessica Jones are safe in their top spots. Peace and take care, Coffee and Vodka.
Thank you so much, Coffee and Vodka, for the feedback there.
Absolutely. There's so many things that we thought might happen and were being set up at the beginning of the series that didn't come to pass.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
Like Grills didn't die. That seems like the obvious one. That's why they were setting it up. But no, we have a whole group of LARPers that ended off creating the costumes for Hawkeye and for Hawkeye, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I do think, what you say, Coffee and Vodka, and it echoes what Jimbo just said as well. The Kingpin being there was just phenomenally good. Like having Wilson Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, back on screen is just sheer joy. And so, yes, hopefully, as we were saying, it wasn't really a gunshot that killed, probably just maimed or wounded, to be honest.
Definitely blinded. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Pretty likely that they wouldn't have brought Vincent D'Onofrio back for that particular moment to never see him again. But you never know. He's a big actor. He may not be able to come back again, but it gives him options, as we always like to say. That's how Marvel likes to leave it. Off-screen death hardly ever means death.
Yes, exactly. But thank you so much, Coffee and Vodka. Next up, we have an email from Victor Von Doom, who had this to say. Season's greeting, Defenders. Wow, what a great series finale. As I stated earlier, this is my new favourite Christmas-themed action comedy thriller. From the action to drama and music, especially Sammy Davis Jr. and Ella Fitzgerald, I found it fantastic. The Kingpin was as chilling as ever. Only Kingpin could turn lovers and family against each other like that. Can you check the timeline for me? Does this all transpire prior to the Netflix Daredevil series, as we're not sure of the outcome of the Maya Kingpin face-off? Quick aside, we potentially think it's after, because of the snap, and he's apparently trying to get all of his he disappeared with the snap and now he's trying to rebuild his empire. But it also, that whole Daredevil Netflix thing could be just a multiversal version of this Kingpin, and that never happened in this universe. We don't know. We honestly don't know.
Well, according to Vincent D'Onofrio, he specifically says he feels this is his character 5 years after the snap. He's lost control of the city. That's his line. That's the intonation he gave to the line, was he's lost this city and he wants to show everyone that he's here to take it back. His feeling on that is that was caused by the snap. He lost his control and is coming back to take it back. So he's been pretty clear about that's what he was told. Again, Marvel options. We don't know until we know, but yes, this would, be very likely to transpire significantly after the Netflix Marvel series.
Yeah.
Victor went on to say, the Kate and Clint heart-to-heart talk really set up for me everything that followed. The LARPers were a nice addition to the story and action. I predict Jack will take up the mantle of the swordsman, if only as a LARPer. Quick aside here, there is now concept art out on the interwebs for Jack as swordsman. Whether it was at one point planned, he would have a swordsman outfit, or he'd have his own LARPing uniform to look like the current swordsman, or at one point in story development, he was dressed as comic accurate to a degree swordsman in concept art. So interesting, or maybe it's a future thing. Again, Marvel have options. Going on, Victor went, I wonder what Yelena will think of Val now she knows the truth of Natasha's death. Kate toppling the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree and the owl carrying off the Tracksuit Mafia minivan was a hoot. I found the Kate versus Kingpin fight scary, as I remember what Kingpin did to Daredevil on Netflix. With Clint's tutelage, I believe Kate will shine as the new Hawkeye. As a big Broadway musical fan, I loved the end credits number, despite it being a bit nerdy. If I may offer a rating, 5 Tracksuit Mafia minivans out of 5. Are they on ice, or are those ones that have been taken by the owl? ? We plan to binge the series on Christmas Eve with a bit of eggnog. Stay safe, Defenders. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Excelsior, Victor Von Doom. Thank you, Victor. Really appreciate the email. I think, like you, Kate will be a really good Hawkeye going forward.
Yes, I hope you got to sit down and binge with that eggnog as well. Again, it seems a little strange saying it, on the 19th of January, but nonetheless, it is a big thanks for the Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, Victor. And to your point, that whole Yelena and Val element, I think is probably one of the bigger things that has implications from this series to the rest of the shows, given Val's involvement in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, as well as at the end of Black Widow as well. So that's a nice little connection and through point, and hopefully we see a bit of that coming on screen as well. I'm absolutely sure we will.
I think if you put up a list of the most requested post-credit scenes at the end of Hawkeye, I think everybody was expecting that it was Yelena and Val meeting up to kind of close that loop and continue that storyline on to the next season or the next appearance. So it'll be interesting as to when those two come together. But I don't think Yelena's going to be very happy to be to have been sent on a mission in that way.
Yeah,
Not at all.
But big thanks, Victor, for the feedback. Jerry in Niceville has some great thoughts. Jerry says, "Hey bros, first things first, holiday Easter eggs. First off, Elf, Kate pressing the elevator buttons."
Yes, of course. This is in response to, I was saying, if there are any Christmas movies that were referenced in the last episode, that you guys had caught.
Yes.
There was a few that I'd missed. Elf definitely was one of them.
Yeah, good call out there, Jerry. Home Alone, arrow building, and the torture of the tracksuits.
Of course,
Yes, there is, of course, Die Hard, shooting of the windows and the ambulance scene. Mm-hmm. The most important Easter egg, the Grinch. Yelena dressed in Grinch green for Christmas, for sure. And her heart grows 3 sizes in the end.
Excellent.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Great call out to some of those important Christmas Easter eggs, for sure.
I knew there was more that we just hadn't.
Oh,
called
absolutely,
out on the podcast, so
definitely.
thanks for that.
So really good spot there, Jerry. Jerry continues. Overall, the finale was a mixed bag for me. Kate and Clint's storyline was fantastic. Kate and Yelena, give me more. Clint and Yelena, great stuff. Kingpin and Maya felt rushed. We need this in episode 5 and fleshed out in episode 6. Maya's story was not handled properly. It does not excite me for her series. Social commentary Jack out of jail because he is rich. Mm-hmm. Kate's mum will get the same treatment too. Kingpin dead? No way. Shot in the eye and left for dead. Just like in the Daredevil comic. Why is the Agent 19 reveal important? Seems like a waste.
It is.
Rogers the musical, pure cringe. The Hawkeye series was good overall, though. It solidifies Kate Bishop in the MCU. Yelena is by far the brightest star in the new phase of the MCU. Jeremy Renner reminds us he is a damn fine actor. But what it failed to do for me was caring about Echo and her future show. Out of all the Marvel shows Disney Plus has put out, What If is number 1, Loki number 2, WandaVision number 3, Hawkeye number 4, Falcon and the Winter Soldier number 5. See you bros next year. Jerry in Niceville. Yep, thank you so much for that. Again, I think for us, fingers crossed that Kingpin probably is just wounded in some way, and certainly sort of blinded would be poetic justice for Maya, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to mention, I know I gruffly said it there, but yeah, the Agent 19 reveal is not important right now. It's terrible. It's an absolute waste of an idea for the show, unless they do something with it. And I think some suggestions that potentially whatever this is supposed to mean would be that, Clint's wife would team up with Kate in the future. So, while they may not be able to get Jeremy Renner back, they may get his wife back and she can continue on the story of, helping out Kate Bishop in the future. So maybe that's it. But yeah, no, it was a terrible reveal that annoyed quite a lot of fans.
Yes, it really did. And certainly one just sat to the left of me. Yes.
And it's not even one of those reveals that if you didn't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you'd find it interesting. So I think that's the problem. So
yeah, so big thanks, Jerry. I must say, I cannot believe that you thought Rogers the musical was pure cringe. Is that not what musicals should be in any case?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Jerry. We also got some feedback in by email from Andrew, who sent us some questions on the season. He says, "Hi, Chris, John and Derek. I just sent in my answers to the pub quiz and I have had a few questions of my own." Spoilers, Andrew, you won the quiz. Well done.
Congratulations, Andrew.
Well done. Andrew's first question is, no one ever mentioned that Kaze actually caught one of Clint's arrows in the final battle. The only people we saw do that in the past were Loki and Vision. Very curious. His second question and comment is, the Kingpin survived being hit by a car, 2 arrows right into his chest, and an explosion right under his feet, and probably a point-blank gunshot. Do you think that this ability might be otherworldly? Might the Kingpin be a Skrull? Great podcast, guys, from Andrew. Oh, I'm telling you, a Skrull reveal is coming, and it's going to be somebody that we know in this universe. I like the idea that is Kingpin. He does seem quite powered, quite heavily powered if you take all of that together. But if we remember Daredevil, he did take a lot of punishment as well. Yeah. Throughout that show, he always did take way more punishment than you would expect a normal character to take.
Even in the comics, he's always had that superhuman feel to him, that he can certainly take sort of more than even the above average human being. His pain threshold's pretty high, I would say. So but I like the theory that he might be a Skrull. I think that's a great idea for sure. But I guess that they would probably choose someone who's more sort of embedded into the current version of the MCU at this stage. But who knows?
I know loads of people want a Daredevil series on Disney Plus. I really do. I know so many people are really excited to see these characters back, but this would be one of those great twists.
That's
to have
true.
Vincent D'Onofrio be a Skrull. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we couldn't get Vincent D'Onofrio playing Kingpin again in a later show just because it's revealed that he's a Skrull. I love the idea of doing a big reveal of a big character.
Definitely.
Cool.
Well, if you think about Secret Invasion in the comic books, it was all discovered by the death of Elektra. And it was discovered that Elektra was a Skrull. She came back because she was then, after the end of Secret Invasion, all the people who were replaced were brought back in to humanity. So it could be it's a pretty amazing way to buy some time. It's like, well, Echo did kill him. Turns out he's just a Skrull. She goes on her way, and then in Secret Invasion is discussed, and then at the end of Secret Invasion, the Vincent D'Onofrio is back again because he was released along with all the other people who've been replaced.
Yeah.
Not a bad question. Definitely an interesting one.
Yes.
I like that.
And I like your curious sort of spot as well about Kazi catching one of Clint's arrows as well.
So in the comic books, Kazi was a more powered, crazy kind of guy. So that made sense because he went in the Matt Fraction when he goes toe to toe with Clint and does lots. So I just think they kind of missed part of that. But you're right. It's only been done in the MCU by very few people.
Yeah,
absolutely. Very cool. Thanks so much, Andrew, for your thoughts, and congratulations again.
Yes, thank you. Next up, we have an email from Corey who said, "Hi, first-time writer. I've been listening since WandaVision. 2 quick things. Did Fisk seem overpowered? I know the comic version is something insanely impossible, like 3% body fat and stronger than Spider-Man. But can he really get hit by a car like that? Get up like nothing happened, have an arrow explode with enough force to send him flying, and have no major injuries? I was kind of hoping to see a certain devil of Hell's Kitchen show up during this fight with Kate, perhaps with a freshly thrown brick in his hand, but I guess that was wishful thinking. Kingpin's obviously not dead though. Second thing, theory on Laura. Could she be a former Hydra agent that infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. at some point, switched side, and is trying to keep her Hydra roots a secret? Special thanks to Claire Laffa, who indirectly led me to your podcast. Well, first of all, thank you, Claire, for bringing Corey to the podcast. And welcome, Corey. Glad to have you writing in. You've been here for nearly a year, and a year later, you are now writing in. It's great to have your feedback.
Absolutely.
We've kind of discussed Fisk already, so yeah, I would love to see Daredevil, but he's coming in the future. On Laura, I'm going to hand over to Derek and go, Derek, what do you think of that?
It's entirely possible. The whole infiltration of Hydra of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a pretty standard story that happens when anybody wants to talk about a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. It's pretty much a go-to storyline that they would use for a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, so it's entirely possible. I was just hoping she was Laura Brown rather than Mockingbird. That's kind of it. I guess we'll see it in the future if they decide to pursue that storyline in the future. If they don't, it was a real waste of them chasing down the Watch for 5 episodes if they don't try to pursue some kind of storyline within the future, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, and as Corey said, thanks again to Claire Laffer. Claire Laffer has hosted this podcast with us back in the days of The Defenders on Netflix.
She certainly did, yeah.
So thanks for leading Corey to us.
Yeah, thanks, Claire, and thanks, Corey, for the feedback. Really great stuff. We have a final email from Coffee and Vodka on the season overall. Coffee and Vodka says, greetings, New Year's Defenders. Indeed it is. New Year, new Defenders, new Marvel shows. It is going to be a cracking 2022. Coffee and Vodka says, hope your holidays went well. Speaking as a dedicated introvert, I can testify to the validity of cancelled plans being one of life's greatest joys, as well as a fine opportunity to binge watch over some very neat scotch. With the TMI out of the way, and apologies for the length of this email in advance, onward and aboward. Inasmuch as a production should be judged on its own merit, this is as impossible to do with comic book properties as with pro wrestling or Law and Order spin-offs. Just as important as the tale being told is what the tale is setting up for the next go-around. In the case of Hawkeye, this series did almost everything right. The introductions of Kate, Maya, Eleanor, Jack, the LARPers, and others, as well as the MVP of the show, Lucky the Pizza Dog. The reintroduction of Wilson Fisk, promoting Laura, thoroughly cementing Yelena as a staple character, and so much more. Although the nostalgia factor was strong with the presence of Kingpin, it was used intelligently as the great nebulous threat, highlighting Clint and Kate's story, rather than obscuring it. My standout moments are the car chase, all shared scenes between Kate and Yelena, the subway rides, and the ghost of Kingpin's daddy kicking his butt via his cufflinks. As for the next go-around stuff, Echo should be good, that is, so long as they don't place her in between the hammer and the anvil of Daredevil and Kingpin, potentially diminishing her role in her own series. Speaking of which, should we get a Daredevil show, it seems Disney is trading the rough language and bloodiness of Netflix for heightened power sets, meaning more family-friendly ultra-violence. Kate and Yelena are golden wherever they appear next. Finally, as for the newly deconstructed Spider-Man tied to Hawkeye via Matt's cameo, should relations with Disney continue, I see well-constructed, visually stunning stories in the future. If under Sony, however, with its 1-6 win-loss record, odds on a much greater chance of another Let There Be Carnage than Spider-Man 2. Thanks as always, and wishing you all a healthy and prosperous 2022. Peace and take care, Coffee and Vodka. Thank you so much, Coffee and Vodka. Yes, all the best laid plans were thrown into the COVID mixer whilst we were away at Christmas. And so we're only really just still catching up with things and so on. And as I said, I thought that'd be the last time I said it last time ago, about 15 minutes ago. But yes, this will definitely be the last time. So
yeah, being internetless doesn't allow us to do much binging, unfortunately.
No, we were binging other stuff, I guess, mainly books from my side anyway, getting through the Wheel of Time in short order. And I think what you say here, is really, really on point, about just how it introduced everything. And certainly something like reintroducing Wilson Fisk, it is a really delicate moment to do because there is so much connected with that character. I think it's interesting with Echo. To some degree, I would agree with Jerry. I think maybe Echo's storyline, I don't think it was ever supposed to be anything too huge here. But still, I think Echo's storyline, along with Kazi, could have been given a little bit more oomph, and certainly for her own series, I guess you could expect that to some degree, for sure. Again, it's the ongoing, never-ending debate of maybe they should have had 8 episodes rather than 6, or they should have been closer to an hour long rather than the 45 minutes. Who knows? But certainly what we got, as you say, was really spot on, with great introductions, reintroductions, and for me, I think the car chase absolutely was a standout there. Kate and Yelena, and I think certainly it was episode 4. There were some really sort of quite deep moments between Kate and Clint as well. And I thought they were really, really good. And Lucky the dog, pizza dog.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Coffee Vodka. I know that was probably a question for a year-end wrap-up, and we were talking about the Marvel stuff, but what do you think? We're at the end of 5 seasons of the show, all totaling to 4 hours each, I think is the stat. No matter what the configuration of the shows, we're roughly 4 to 4.5 hours, I think. That's their strategy now. So that is what we can expect from Marvel shows, whatever way they cut them up into the individual episodes time-wise. Now that we know that's the strategy, we're not going to get, if we get 10 episodes, it will just be shorter episodes spread over 10. Because their strategy is to hit that 4.5 hour time.
I guess it depends on the format of the show, because I thought the 30 minutes of WandaVision with more episodes in their season just worked so well. Certainly at the start with the different eras ultimately, and all the way through until it was pretty much in the present. But then you're into the real end game stuff of everything that happened in WandaVision. So I think it really worked. But I did like the longer episodes of Loki, with Loki's 6 episodes for their season.
What If had the 9 and then 6 on the other 2 drama shows,
So it seems to be working pretty well. I think it depends on the structure and the type of format and the type of story that they're telling ultimately. I think.
Yeah, personally, I'm in this kind of, I think they should get as much as they need. Every now and again, we've gone, wish it was a bit more, wish it was a bit less, wish it was just perfect. Kind of, we're very much Goldilocksing it. But overall, I think between 4 and 6 hours seems to be the mark. If you can go, worst case, you give everyone each episode's 50 minutes of a 6. Best case, so that kind of 9 and 30 minutes. Or you go 6 episodes, each one being, like I said, kind of 40 to 50 minutes, and you're nearly getting that closer to 6. I think if we look at, say, Boba Fett, which is currently on, episode 1 was 34 minutes, episode 2 was nearly a full hour. Episode 3 was back to kind of a 30-40 minute, and I'm not quite sure about episode 4 yet. So it's that kind of it's just giving them what they need, giving them that space of, okay, you've got up to between 4 and 6 hours. So make it work.
Yeah, that definitely. And I think I would agree with that as well. I think it also depends on what you actually need to tell the show. But maybe it's the more, I don't know, it's just required for it to go on Disney Plus. So there's a slight requirement around sort of that range of how long the overall season will be. But my mind is give them what they need to tell their story. It's work on the story and the overarching story, and try and get that into, whatever season length it's going to be, to be honest.
I was just trying to do some quick Googling there. As far as I'm aware, they're all within about 15 minutes overall for all 5 seasons.
Interesting.
All seasons are roughly within about 15 minutes, and that's 4 to 4.5 hours of actual time. So that seems to be the guide. Like you want to have a movie coming in at about 2 hours, it seems to be the guide for the shows. It seems to be around that. So
interesting.
So that's quite interesting. I'll have to check that and make sure I'm right, because I don't want to be tapping away while I'm supposed to be going on to more feedback. But excellent stuff. Let's go on to Facebook. First up on Facebook, Selena Kisler has some feedback on our finale podcast. He says, cool to get the origin story of Derek and Chris. I too loved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I'm holding out hope that the number 19 can be assigned to any agent. As John said, so I post this with apologies to Derek. My ears perked up in episode 5 when Yelena was rattling off Kate's accomplishments and mentioned her impressive college GPA. Thinking about Kate's childhood ambitions since seeing Clint in the Battle of New York and where that took her, I immediately thought, I guess the S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy doesn't exist in this universe. I couldn't agree more with Chris that we needed a post-credit scene in addition to the mid-credits musical number. Often in the movies, one of the post-mid-credits is a joke and the other sets something up. I wanted the setup, preferably that Kingpin is alive. It was so great to hear you guys on a show with so many Defenders vibes, street level criminals, high society, characters missing senses, talk of dragons, and of course Kingpin, and in some major MCU movie crossover characters, and this was my favourite of the Disney Plus shows so far, just edging out WandaVision. Thanks, Salim.
Yeah, thanks, Salim. Interesting to see it's just edged out WandaVision. I'm hearing that. I'm hearing it's definitely in a lot of people's top 3.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thanks, Salim.
Thanks, Salim. Yes. Also on Facebook, Claire Payne says, an awesome finale. I saw everything that I hoped for in the first 30 minutes. Kingpin and his connection to Eleanor, Kate and Clint in their new suits, a great elevator fight between Yelena and Kate, and a nice montage of the creation trick arrows. I've only watched it once and sat there grinning the whole way through. I'm glad we got the ending of Kate joining the Bartons. So what is next? Is Kingpin dead? Will we see Yelena and Kate team up? Whatever happens, I enjoyed every second of the show and thankful for getting an hour-long finale. And oh joy for the post-credit scene, a Rogers the Musical number in full. Also, the LARPer's role in this episode was brilliant, and Jack now being a potential new member. Happy Christmas, Defenders. Happy Christmas to you, Claire. Thank you so much. Yes, that musical number was just oh joy, for sure. It was really, really good. Interestingly, coming out of lockdown earlier in the autumn, then one of the first things we did, because we had booked it 2 years ago approximately, was go to see a musical. So it was really nice seeing this musical mid-credit scene for sure. Absolutely. I think as Salim has just said, I also do quite like having a meaningful or more serious one, but I have to say, as comedy, just pure joyous moments, and certainly given the Christmas nature of this show, the musical number from Rogers the Musical was just so good. And of course, we all should have just guessed it. There were so many billboards, adverts, and points of reference to this show, let alone them sitting in it in episode 1 and watching it as the audience, that it was no surprise.
Well, add the fact that the track itself was released on Spotify the week after the first episode came out, so you would have expected that they had it all filmed live as well. Excellent stuff. Thanks, Claire. Also on Facebook, Heather Wallace says, we all love Jack now, don't we? He was fabulous and seemingly holds no grudges either against Eleanor for framing him or Kate for her hostility. The only time he was annoyed was when he had a spot of blood on his cravat. What a top bloke. And I loved how he took down Armand VII. Speaking of the Armands, Armand III would have to be the great-great-grandfather of Armand VII. Do they have like 15 kids at 15? No wonder Armand VII is interested in Jack's wine collection so young. So Laura is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., as we all suspected, that the watch is either the most MacGuffin to ever MacGuffin. Why exactly were the bros after it at the black market auction? Or will be a part in some form of spin-off. Yelena and Kate's fight scene through the building was so good. It had great choreography and banter. The elevator scene was gold, and kudos for Kate for slowing it down by pressing all the buttons. Very clever. I was also impressed with Yelena's hair braid. Top-notch work. Clint and Yelena's fight was similar to Sam's and Carly's. Neither was fighting, just defending, while the other person's rage wore away. Hearing Nat's whistle was moving, although I do wonder how Val will take the commission not being completed. The full number from Rogers the Musical was hilarious. Adam Pascal, who played the first New Yorker right at the beginning of the number, looked like he was going to burst out laughing any second. I wonder if in this MCU reality there's an actor called Chris Evans. I hear he loves donning tap shoes and getting out the jazz hands. He'd be perfect for the lead in this musical. Merry Christmas, everyone, and huge thanks to John, Derek and Chris for such sterling work on so many projects all year this year. Thank you so much, Heather. Some really interesting thoughts there. I'm glad you enjoyed the show as well. And the idea of Chris Evans popping up on stage to perform as Captain America in the musical would be hilarious. On the Armands, what it seemed like when we got introduced to them at the beginning is that everybody gives their own child the name Armand, and then the numbers are given to them assigned as to when they're born. Basically, it's not just Armand the first. his son gets Armand II, and then his son gets Armand III. It's not like the royalty lineage,
But
because it's a cousin of Armand III who's Armand VII. It's not his son. So that's what it is. So it's basically, there's loads of Armands throughout the family. It's a name that's passed throughout the family, and they're all given those numbers. So it's not like King Charles.
Are you sure you've not seen the making of? Because I don't know how you could possibly know that.
It's from the first episode. You'll see it in the description.
Okay, grand. I definitely just thought it was Armands were just like royalty. So it's like they're so wealthy and live forever that they're about 5 generations like deep, I guess.
Well, we do know there's one less Armand now.
Absolutely.
There certainly is.
Thank you so much, Heather. Also over on Facebook, we have feedback from Michael Booth, who said, wow, did they really just bring Kingpin back to shoot him? Surely not. The cheeky off-screen gunshot gives us all hope he will be back. An excellent final episode with a bunch of brilliant fights and good emotional payoffs as well. I know you guys talked about Hawkeye's kill count last episode, but wow, did the bodies rack up. Crazy Jack just straight up slaughtering the Tracksuit Mafia good with his sword, and Clint and Kate turn the guy's chuck into owl food. P.S. glad I caught the end credits. I especially liked the moment where Actor Cap blocked Actor Hawkeye with his shield and he got cranky. Yes. I also do really like the fact that they had actor Ant-Man.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
Because of, and it took me ages to get it, because of Endgame. He's there because of Endgame. Because in Endgame, he went back in time. That's why he's now there. Because someone probably saw Ant-Man back in the Battle of New York.
I think that's definitely possible.
Yep.
Interesting, because Hawkeye even comments that guy wasn't even there.
But
in the first episode, he's like, that guy wasn't even there. It's like he's been added because he's a popular Avenger, so we can stick him in to do fun stuff with in our musical show, and nobody will really care about the actual facts. But that's an interesting call, Chris. Thanks so much, Michael.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. Next on Facebook is Dr. Bob Phillips. He says, Merry Christmas. A soft and glowing feeling after this. Adored the formal wear, the fletching, the swordsman, the coin flick payoff, and the redemption of Maya. Did she have one of those cage-piercing bullets? When you add the against the odds, including filming in COVID restrictions, that ice rink battle was outstanding. Yep, the battle on the ice rink really just paid off in bounds. And the little coin flick payoff with the cufflink was just so good in this final episode. And it links to earlier in the season, but also as well, it's that nice little reference to the comics as well, which I always think it just feels like this continually ongoing saga, and it was really, really good.
Yeah, I love the idea that Kingpin might possibly have a power akin to Luke Cage, where you'd need a Judas bullet to break his skin. So that bullet might just bounce off him from Maya. That's quite interesting. So the unbreakable Kingpin.
Yeah, certainly could. Certainly could. Soon. Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Bob, for the feedback.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Bob. We also had feedback from Richard Blaze, who had, wow, that was a real fan-pleasing finale. Thought it was great. And the song at the end only makes me wish they tore Rogers the Musical for real. Thanks, Rich. Yeah, I see a lot of people who are saying that now. A lot of people want to see that stage play. I'm kind of there as well. I'd be down. I'd be down.
You never know. Peaky Blinders was just announced as a musical this week, coming from the creator of Peaky Blinders, at least. So at least there's something. But Peaky Blinders, an ultra-violent TV show in the UK. I'm intrigued to see how that would work as a musical. But you never know. Thanks, Richard. Marceline van den Berg says, I absolutely loved the whole season, and the finale, amazing. Clint and Yelena made me cry. Okay, I'm a crybaby, so that's not too hard. I really adore all the Kate Yelena scenes, and I want so much more out of those two. I'm really partial to human superheroes without superpowers, etc. And Hawkeye gave me exactly what I love so much about that. But the thing that really stood out for me in this show was Maya and her amazing disability representation. We get far too little of that, and most of the time not in this awesome way. Someone who just has a disability, deaf and prosthesis in this case, but is absolutely awesome and in no way any less because of it. As someone with a mobility issue who has to use a mobility aid myself, I really need characters like her, and I'm so glad and grateful that they wrote her this way, and even more excited that they cast an actor with those disabilities to play her, which is even more rare than writing a character with disabilities. Most of the time, you see able-bodied actors in those roles. Marjolaine, you're absolutely right. It is really important to have this role in here, and really important to have the fact that this is a lead-in to Echo's character in future. We will be seeing her back in her own show led by her as a character, and seeing how powerful she is and seeing how interesting the character is makes me really excited to see the show. So, really important to see that on screen.
Yes, really looking forward to it, Marjorie. And thank you for writing in, giving us your view on that, but completely agree. The actress who plays Maya is fantastic.
Absolutely, totally agree. Thanks, Marjolaine.
Yeah, thanks, Marjolaine. Also, Sandy Resendez says, as a huge Rent fan, hearing Adam Pascal singing about Rent being high in New York City was all I ever knew I needed. Seriously, great finale. Sad the season is over. Loved everything about this show. Yes, me too, Sandy. Thanks so much for that. And you just never know what it is that you need in any given moment.
That's true. Yeah. Sometimes they just deliver it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Kelly Resendez says on Facebook, this episode and the entire series was so entertaining. I loved every minute of it. This was right up there with WandaVision, where I was so excited for the next episode every week. Now that it's over, I guess I'll just have to rewatch. The Kingpin, sweet Christmas was Vincent D'Onofrio fantastic. He did not miss a beat. The look, the looks, the voice brought all of the great Daredevil series back. Mm-hmm. Wasn't sure if they would refer to him as Wilson Fisk in this or just Kingpin to possibly keep the Netflix and Disney Plus series separated, but glad they did. He was a larger than life figure in the Netflix shows, but it seems here they elevated that. The way they filmed him to appear even larger. And is it just me, or does he now appear stronger? Mm-hmm. I mean, he ripped off and flung the door off Eleanor's car, among other things. No way he is dead after that. Kelly continues, the conversation between Clint and Kate was great. He is finally resigned to the idea that she is going to do this and that she is his partner. That moment was what they both needed. The action was awesome, from the party to Kate taking on Kingpin and holding her own to the battle in Rockefeller Center. The cufflink flick, the trick arrows, I knew he had to have an arrow stash, action figure-sized tracksuits, and the Hawkeye suit reveals. I knew I saw a flash of purple under Clint's torn dress shirt. Mm-hmm. Finally, the end scene we all wanted. Clint and Kate go home for Christmas. Laura, née Mockingbird, gets her watch back, although I'm a little confused on the importance of it other than the character reveal. While we don't get a Hawkeye will return, Clint giving Kate the Hawkeye moniker is all I needed. Finally, I promise how many of us knew that we wanted and needed that full-on I can do this all day number from Rogers the Musical as an end credit scene. I was smiling the whole number. Thanks guys and happy holidays. Thank you so much, Kelly, for the feedback.
Thanks, Kelly. Really good to hear from you there. I'm glad you enjoyed the show so much. It was really good. Some really good stuff, particularly in that final episode, isn't it? And that big reminder of Daredevil as a show and how great Vincent D'Onofrio is. I've seen from our downloads that people are already going back and checking out Daredevil, just our podcast alone. So I can only imagine what Netflix numbers are getting for people wanting to check out his performance over in Daredevil as well.
Definitely. I must say, I would love to rewatch Daredevil in the near future after this. And then, of course, it would be Jessica Jones and then it would be Luke Cage for sure. Yeah. Loved those shows.
Yes, there's unfortunately just way too much content to go back at this point.
There really, really is. Absolutely. Big thank you, Kelly, again, and thank you to everyone who has sent in the feedback through Facebook and by email for this episode, apologies, it's a little later, I guess, than scheduled, but we really do want to talk through your points and to allow all the fellow defenders to listen to all our feedback that we get through from our listeners. It's really, really good.
And all
again,
your lovely happy holiday messages and happy New Year messages. Always great to read those out as well. So thanks so much for everybody that's been sending those into us throughout the last couple of weeks. This episode would have made so much more sense if we had the assembled making of Hawkeye episode to discuss now, because it would make sense why we held it off for so many weeks. But now it doesn't make any sense. It was on the official schedule from Marvel. I promise you, it was supposed to be out today, the 19th of January.
Or was it?
But we do need to move on from Hawkeye. We need to close it down and move on to other things. We do have one final way to say goodbye to it from our wonderful fellow defender, Jerry. He has a special advert for us to close out Hawkeye.
Ooh, intriguing.
Hey, this is Jerry in Niceville. I'm sending you this funny Trust a Bro ad that I made. Hope you enjoy. Hey, bro, if you're in the greater New York area and you need some help, well, I can tell you, bro, try Trust a Bro. We in the greater New York area look out for everyone, including the big guy. He likes looking out for all the bros. So, if you need to move anywhere, anything, call 555-BRO to bro. Again, that's 555-BRO to bro. And make sure to tell him that Lexi sent you.
Bro, it was such good, bro. So good, bro. You know, bro? 555, trust a bro.
Bro, fantastic stuff, Jerry. Loved it. That's so good. Really, really enjoyed that. Yeah. Laughing my little head off there.
I love it, Jerry. Thank you so much for taking the time to send that in.
Definitely.
Really, really good fun. And also thank you to our fellow industrialists who've been sending in their thoughts about other shows that we're not covering. We have got some feedback in for Boba Fett. We have got feedback in for Peacemaker. We have got feedback in for one other show that we're not covering, and I've just suddenly got it out of my head. We will be covering Witcher next week on our next podcast. So if you want to send us in thoughts about Witcher Season 2, just email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com with your thoughts about any of the episodes of The Witcher. That's John's thoughts about all of Season 2 of The Witcher.
No, I was trying to do a Henry Cavill impression. A Witcher impression.
But just lie in a hot tub and spread your legs.
That doesn't work very well on a podcast, Chris.
I might electrocute myself.
You can also join us over on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/TV Podcast Industries, or follow us on Twitter at TV Pod Industries. Please share your thoughts with us about the shows that are coming up. We have got lots more to talk about over the rest of this year. But unfortunately, we're still trying to get our feet back under the table as we get caught up with the stuff that we should have been covering at the beginning of this month.
Yeah. And if you like what you hear, don't forget you can head on over to patreon.com/TV Podcast Industries, where for just a single dollar bill, y'all, you can trust a bro and help us keep creating well into 2022. Don't want to sign up on Patreon? Well, buy our editors a coffee, i.e. our editors, Derek. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/TVPI and just do a one-off donation of a coffee. It really helps keep him in caffeine. Don't have $1 to throw our way? Don't worry. Just make sure you head on over to TV Podcast Industries, especially actually head on over to Spotify.com or just Spotify. Go rate us, leave us a review, because it helps with the old algo, the transparency and all that fun and games, you know. The bit of algorithmic fun and games. But no, I would really appreciate everyone leaving a 5-star review, because you trust a bro, and it is always good to do.
Yes, indeed. Next week we'll be covering the first 4 episodes of The Witcher Season 2, possibly with the Marvel's assembled making of Hawkeye, if it ever comes out on Disney+.
No, they missed their chance now. We don't have time. We don't have time. We have to move on. Sorry, guys.
Absolutely. But as always, fellow defenders, thank you so much for listening, for contributing and getting involved. It is, as always, a pleasure discussing all things Hawkeye, all things Marvel with you.
Absolutely. And congratulations once again to Andrew for getting the top prize in the pub quiz.
Yes, most definitely.
Yes, thank you so much Take care, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Talk to you next time.
Yeah, remember, keep watching, keep listening, and keep defending, as well as trusting a bro. Bye.
Bye.